The A-League National Soccer competition is only into its 7th season, but it may soon make its mark on Australian sporting history. The reigning premiers, Brisbane Roar, have gone 32 games without a loss. That's the longest unbeaten streak in any football code in Australia since the 1930s. The last time the Roar lost a match was against Melbourne Victory early last season on Melbourne's home turf, and they're facing that same challenge again this weekend. Peter McCutcheon reports.
It's an unlikely setting for a soccer revolution. A rugby stadium in inner-city Brisbane. But this is the training ground for a soccer team that is changing the way many think about the beautiful game in Australia.
Make no mistake, this is quite a machine. In fact, it's bigger than that. He's creating a monster in Brisbane, is Postecoglou.
We are a little bit different, and again, it comes about from when we started this whole project, so to speak, was that we wanted to play a different way to everyone else.
At the heart of this story is a coach, Postecoglou, who has overseen one of the longest undefeated streaks in Australian sporting history.
Now Broish, beautiful, into the stride of Stefanuto and Berisha. He's got 3 in 3. Stunning stuff from the Roar.
Brisbane Roar has played 32 consecutive games without a loss. But for soccer purists, it's not the results that are so amazing, but the way the game is being played.
Believe you me, watching Brisbane Roar at the moment is pure delight.
The run that they've been on is unbelievable, and at the moment I can't see it stopping.
When Postecoglou took over the coaching job at Brisbane Roar 2 years ago, the club was in crisis.
I've had just about everyone in Australia tell me what's wrong with the Roar, so I'm not going to go in there with any preconceptions.
Postecoglou inherited a team upset about the sacking of their previous coach, Frank Farina, for a drink-driving offence. The captain at the time was one of Australia's most successful footballers, Craig Moore.
It was a difficult time for the club, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, look, it was a time of change. I mean, I was involved in that change. Obviously, there was a few players that obviously left the club at the time. But sometimes change is the best thing that can happen at a club.
The club lost matches and Craig Moore departed only months into the new regime.
It was a tough period, not for me personally, because it was kind of, when you've got a plan in your head, then as long as it's following those steps, and it certainly was in my head, I certainly wasn't panicking, but obviously for people around the club, our supporters, the board, they were probably scratching their heads for a long time thinking, what's this bloke doing?
What the bloke was doing was introducing a style of football seldom seen in Australia before. A short passing, high possession game focusing on finesse rather than force. A system or philosophy that last year delivered the Roar a premiership and a grand final victory.
Particularly I felt here in Australia, the game, there's some connotations towards it being maybe a little bit boring at times, not enough action, and we certainly wanted to flip that over.
2-2!
The key to Brisbane's success is the way they play, not the results. The results follow the philosophy, and the philosophy is a modern European-type game.
And then he goes again.
Andy Harper is a former captain of the old Brisbane Strikers club and is now a football commentator on Fox Sports.
The beauty of Ange as an individual and as a football coach is that he's got a very strong conviction as to what he wants to do with a football team. Beneath that is a smart guy, a canny operator, a good manager of people. This is a guy who's been raised and cultivated in the Australian football culture. He's learnt his business, he's learnt his trade in Australia.
But one of the biggest challenges of football in Australia is working in a highly regulated domestic market with wealthy, unregulated international competitors, which means some of the best players get poached. And that's exactly what happened at the end of last season.
Do you feel sometimes like you're being watched by other clubs?
Oh, I've no doubt it's the price of success in our game, and but again, that's part of the plan. I don't fear that. In fact, I welcome it.
Despite the loss of several key players, the Roar this year has kept winning.
Ange had come out and said we're going to be stronger this year, and I thought, that's a massive call, and one that you should be careful with. But even I'm sort of like eating humble pie in regards to the players that have come in. Have done a fantastic job.
Lovely weight on the pass from Stefanuto. Berisha again! Oh, it's scintillating football from Brisbane. Brisbane.
Now, there is a sobering element to this extraordinary success story. The Raw's 7-1 demolition of Adelaide last weekend was played in front of a disappointing crowd of only 11,000.
Despite the on-field success, the crowds really haven't followed. Is that a concern?
No, I don't think so. Not from our point of view. I think across the league they're up, and certainly I firmly believe that the popularity of the game will continue to develop, and it's up to us to sort of capitalise on it.
And one of the fans of the Raw coach believes there's another market that remains untapped.
And let me put the Postecoglou story and its transference in these terms. What he's achieved and the environment in and through which he's had to work is a story to corporate Australia. Anyone who's interested in management, anyone who's interested in team leadership, anyone who's interested in culture and environment change should get Postecoglou on their podium talking.
Nakajima for 7-1 to the Raw.